everyone for having me on. And thank you to all of you for taking the time to join this event live. And those of you who will watch the replay, it's a privilege for all of us in publishing to be able to help people with good ideas, get them to their market. My intention today is to be able to help you understand what agents do and figure out if one is right for you, as Jeevan said. So I'm going to share my screen and show you what I have to say today. Hopefully will be illuminating and give you some fire in the belly to achieve what it is that you're hoping to achieve with your wonderful book. So I've been a literary agent since forever. Like Jeevan said, I've sold over more than 2,000 deals around the world, have millions of copies of books I've sold in print. I'm also myself the author of 31 books under 9 different names. So I have a very deep experience in the publishing industry, and I'm going to tell you today the 4 things that a literary agent can do for you and 4 things we can't. The first thing that we do that most authors don't really want to know is figure out if your book is going to sell. That means to the publisher first, because that's the first sale I'm interested in, and then to the public. The way I figure this out is I review your previous books, if any, and your platform and your content as it compares to the other similar books in the world, and am able to make a fairly accurate decision about whether or not you're going to get a publishing deal. And the only way to get that is by convincing the publisher that you're going to sell a lot of copies. Every publisher and every agent gets lots and lots and lots of things pitched at them. I tell people at cocktail parties I'm an insurance agent, really, because I don't want any more pitches that come from social engagements. The reality is that our job is to find the ones that are going to make a difference and that are going to sell. The reason for that is because publishers are in business. Literary agencies are in business. We're in business to make a profit, just like every other store you've ever shopped at. Publishers only want books that are going to sell. They're not interested in how beautifully you write or how friendly you are. That doesn't really matter as much as it does whether or not your product, your book, is going to make us money. That's how they stay in business. That's how publishers and agents stay in business. That's how bookstores stay in business. As an agent, my job is to be the bloodhound and to find the authors who have the right combination of content that hasn't been done to death before, and the author has motivation, and the author has a platform, a growing group of fans. We need that because publishers want to hitch their wagon to the stars and not be this sad, tired old donkey who has to pull you out from all of the garbage that you're not able to do for yourself to get your books to start to sell. The reality is, if you come with something, a publishing contract can help you make it bigger, but we can't start it for you. You have to have something going on if you're going to get an agent and therefore a publisher. The second thing an agent can do is primp your proposal. I personally believe that if your agent, or I'm sorry, your editor that we send it to can't get the answers to the most important questions, which is, will this book sell? How can you prove it? And why are you the right person to write it? If those 3 answers and how well it will sell is not proven by your marketing plan, I've wasted my time and that editor's time. So as an agent, it's my responsibility to make sure that your proposal is beautiful. I even help people who are not my clients. I teach a class, a live workshop called Book Proposal Workshop at bookproposalworkshop.com. If you're interested, you can look at that later. I'll give the link at the end. But making your proposal compelling will help you get a publisher and help you get an agent. And then the best thing we do is connect with the editor, the right editors, to show them your masterpiece, this beautiful proposal, so that they can say yes to it. This is the most important thing that you see, but the things that we see are the ones that come before. Is this author a good investment of a publisher's money and my money and time to build them into the person that I can then sell as a speaker? My agency owns a bureau that I will make money from the book because the speaker's out there and active, or the author's got marketing, or the author understands social media, or the author's doing some coaching or consulting, or whatever it is that's going to help them help us make their deal bigger. And the final and most important thing that agents do is create fair contracts between you and the publisher. The publishers sometimes think agents are out to get everything we can, but smart agents are looking for an opportunity to create a fair relationship with the publisher where both people start feeling like they've got the best possible future together. That way, if the editor ends up leaving and going to a bigger publishing house, or the publishing house is acquired by another company or whatever, the author still has a long-term positive relationship with those people and that company. The other thing that I think is really important and that differentiates a literary agent from, for instance, a entertainment attorney is that we can help understand what the author needs. I have an author who was born in Israel, raised in France, and lives in Los Angeles. I was able to withhold from the publishing contract the French and Hebrew rights and sell them separately. Now she has the countries that matter most to her where she can do media and is doing media to promote the book. In other cases, the publisher doesn't pay in advance or they pay too small of an advance. So I will hold the foreign rights. I sell foreign rights for all kinds of books. In my category of nonfiction all over the world, more than 60% of my revenue last year came from foreign rights sales from people who have self-published or published with other publishers or my own clients or the publishers who use me to sell their foreign rights, etc. That benefit is that then the books can become successful in more than one country. And in some cases, the author can build their reputation worldwide or internationally, expand their brand, etc. Another thing that happens if, like I said, if the publisher isn't paying very much money, I'll ask to hold the audio rights because it's important that the author makes some money and I can sell the audio rights separately and then you'll make a couple grand. In some cases, I will hold the film rights. It kind of depends on knowing the author and what they're going to be able to do. And I can also explain to the author, this is what the ramifications of this clause in the contract are going to be 5, 10, 20 years from now. If they come to make a movie about your life, this is what you need to have, and you need to understand about what the publisher is bringing. Understanding contracts, and I've done thousands, gives me a perspective. Understanding people helps me understand how to merge those two so that you get the best possible outcome as an author. Those are the things that an agent can do. In my life in publishing, I found there are agents who focus on the writing and who care about the writing and all this other stuff. I'm not really one of those. The proposal needs to be perfect, but I'm not really going to look at your book once it's published or once it's handed over to the publisher. I'm interested in the marketing. How can we use this to grow your business, make you a better speaker, get you out there as a consultant, launch a business, bring in more customers, more people to your legal practice or your psychotherapy or your weight loss clinic? That's what I'm interested in. And I spend a lot of time with my clients helping them understand how to use the book as a marketing tool. I was a competitive rower for a while, and the job of rowing in a crew, at least, is that we all pull at the same time with the same force that makes the boat win the regatta. The value of having the right agent is that the agent and the publisher and their marketing department and your publicist and everybody on your team helps you win with that book. Unfortunately, the dark side. There are 4 things an agent cannot do. We can't sell a book in an unknown genre. If I have one super pet peeve, it's this. People will pitch me on books that I've never sold because they got some list somewhere and they just blast the emails to my agency. I don't personally look at those, but we get hundreds every month from people who are like, hey, my kid's book is great. You're going to love my movie. Please only send to agents who are selling and who will want to sell books like yours. For everything I know about how to query, please go to YouTube and type in Wendy Keller's Rule of 30, the number 30, and watch that video. It's been very popular, but it also tells you everything I know about how to query the right agents so that you don't get a false negative and think nobody wants my book, when really it's your fault because you sent it to a bunch of people who don't handle what you're writing. The next thing we can't do is make your book sell. There are so many factors. Even if you have a platform and you pitch the book and you want it to be really successful, if you stop growing your platform, you stop posting social media, you stop giving speeches, whatever, while you're writing the book in your ascot, in your loft, you are going to kill the success of that book in the future and in the present moment. You might not even get an agent if you stop your time marketing yourself to write something or to write the manuscript. Likewise, once the book is sold, we can't necessarily guarantee that it's going to sell to a publisher or to the public unless you continue to take the right actions. But if there's acts of God, or there's planes flying into a tower, or any other horrible thing in the world, the chances of selling that book are going to go down. On top of that, one thing that happens surprisingly often is that I will get a manuscript and I'm very excited about it, but I find out pretty quickly that something very similar is being pitched and has already sold by an author who's famous or more famous than my client. There's nothing the agent can do in that case. You have to retool your idea and trot back out with something else. And the third thing is, we can't get you a bigger advance than you warrant. If you think your house is worth $14 million and the house next to you sells for $850,000, pretty common rural California prices, even though you want that $14 million, tough luck. The market will bear that 850 when your neighbor's house sells and yours doesn't. So you have to be kind of realistic. You might think it's worth billions of dollars, or that your agent didn't do a good enough job, or that your publisher should have paid a fortune. If we don't see the money on the opposite side, nobody's going to do it for you for charity. That's not the way publishing works. We're not in it for charity, like I said earlier. And the last thing we can't do is make you rich. Being successful an author, becoming, James Clear or whatever, James Patterson, whatever, is a process that requires a lot of people. Your publicist, your agent puts it on the shelf, the guy at Amazon who puts it in the on the in the box that someone has ordered. All these other people have to be involved in your process. The guarantee that you're going to be rich doesn't necessarily come from you or any one other individual person. And so the disappointment is sort of shared blame if your book doesn't sell. Your job as the author is to do everything that is within your power to be successful. Write a great proposal, pitch the right agents, and let that agent match you with the right publisher. The reality is that we are all dying of thirst in this industry. We are starving. We are looking for those precious, rare gems of authors who have a platform and who have something unique or refreshing to say, and who are willing to put in the energy that it takes to make a book successful. We all need you. We want you. We desire you, but you kind of got to fit the model of the content and the person that we're looking for, because your book is what makes the whole business move. It's what pays all of our salaries and pays for our kids to go to college. A long time ago, I got a marketing plan from from a guy who was really clueless, and I'm going to share it with you in just a moment. But the sad fact is that agents, the front line, reject 99.8% of everything. And we don't want them because they don't have any proof that there's anybody else out there in the world who's interested in their product. They don't have anyone buying it. They're not selling consulting engagements. They're not selling coaching. They're not selling the product. They're not bringing people into their clinic. They think the book is going to solve all their problems when really it works the other way. I had a guy many years ago tell me that he believed that it was the publisher or the agent's responsibility to make his book successful. And it was so mind-boggling to me that it changed the trajectory of my life as an agent. There are 4 reasons why agents reject your material. Your idea is too similar, or a celebrity or an expert just came out with a book that's similar to yours. If you see it on the shelf today, it was decided on 12 to 18 months ago. It's too late. Find a way to make it better. I use the phrase NDBM, new, different, better, more. If you do that, you will succeed with your content. Or you self-publish to prove how brilliant you are. The average self-published book sells 116 copies, according to Bowker, our research firm. If you didn't sell better than that, or you did sell better than that, great. But if you didn't sell thousands of books, you failed as a self-published author. What publisher is going to want to invest in a second book or the same book rehashed by an author? Nobody. I can't touch it. The minute you tell me you're self-published, I look at your numbers, and if they are lousy, I'm not going to touch your book, and neither is any self-respecting agent. Or your proposal is stupid. Go to bookproposalworkshop.com and fix that problem. Pretty easy. Or you have zero platform. I teach a class on using AI to build your platform that you're welcome to come to, but just learn how to start to build a platform so that you have something to show the publisher and the agent when it's time to sell. That guy I told you about who was so clueless with his marketing literally wrote 1 page. Tell Oprah to send the limo and I'll get in. He really said that. That was his entire marketing plan. The worst one I've ever seen in my life. Your job is to figure out how to get to yes. this course today is going to help you figure out how do you build a product, a book that's going to be successful for you, for your publisher, and most of all, for your agent. I would love to help you. Please, at the very least, go to kellermedia.com and sign up for the Trailblazer Tribune. That's our newsletter. You'll get all kinds of free stuff and tips and ebooks and all this other stuff complimentary just for being on the list, because I want to help you become the best author you can be so that someday, when you're ready, I can sell your book. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Wendy. I told you she makes me look like a ray of sunshine.
Not at all.
In any case, now Wendy and I are going to fight a little bit.
Let me get my gloves on.
Yes. We're going to fight because one thing that has always been a tricky situation is the relationship between publisher and agent. And this is not always so. I haven't particularly found it too challenging most times. I know some editors I work with and some others I know are like, oh, I just don't want to touch anything if it comes from an agent, you know. So we're going to talk about what it is. We're going to give those of you who are listening in a bit of an insight while we squabble into what the issues are. And you all can also learn from them. And so there's three questions I'm going to ask Wendy, and then after those, we're going to open it up for questions from you all. So the first one is, Wendy, why do agents negotiate for every possible right and exception and just nickel and dime, it seems? I mean, yes, you're getting your best for your author and yourselves, but sometimes doesn't it work against you if the publisher can just do a better job when given some room to maneuver with certain rights or certain things?
Well, if the publisher has a proven capability, for instance, to sell foreign rights better than I can, or if they're going to share fairly in the $2,500 advance that they're going to get from, one of the major audio companies, then sure, I'm happy to let them participate if they have other things on the table. My job is to create a fair agreement that works for my author first and the publisher second. I feel it's very important to maintain my relationships with my publishers because they're the ones who end up writing the checks, but also the authors have to be treated fairly. And it's my job to balance those two. As I said, I don't know that it's necessarily every nickel and dime, but if the publisher has no history of exploiting, for instance, dramatic or merchandising rights, and they want to keep them because they're greedy, they need to be disabused of that notion.
Fair enough, fair enough. So, in other words, a good agent will see what's the publisher's strength, what can I do better, what can they do better.
Yes. And like the author, not to be disrespectful, if anybody ever figures out which author I'm referring to with the French and Hebrew rights that I sold separately, I sold them within 6 months of the book releasing. And in that entire time, the book's been out about 3 years now. In that entire time, the only thing that the publisher sold in foreign rights was Spanish. I'm like, if I should have kept them all. I didn't know that that publisher was so poor at rights, international rights sales, and I put a reversion clause. If they go another 2 years, then those rights will come back to me. But I have a reversion clause. If the publisher doesn't exploit a right that I give them within a certain period of time, it should come back to me because I know how to do it and I'm motivated and dedicated. I see you shaking your head. Do you agree?
I agree very much with the reversion clause. We use them in our contract
Yeah.
all the time, which is, look, if we can't sell it, then you can sell it, and you selling it just means ultimately better sales for our book too,
Yes.
and
Absolutely.
it's out. So yes, big support.
Whoever is best at it should have it. That's how I feel.
Fair enough. We agree there. Okay,
Look at that, you guys. We agreed on something. Can you believe
don't get too used to it.
it?
Okay, so second one. Stereotype is that the agent will go with the biggest advance offering. And sure, I get it. An advance suggests how much a publisher believes in the book. And, the more they're willing to lay out, the more work they have to do to recoup that expense. So they're going to do
True.
more. I
True.
understand. But sometimes I wonder, isn't it better to go with publishers who possibly don't have the means to offer the big advance, but who could do more for the book in other ways? And
So
go ahead.
thank you. I'm sorry to cut you off. So if you guys, will you all pinky promise to keep a secret, not tell anyone else? Come on, you guys. Everyone raise their finger. All right. Thank you. So the pinky promise is this. If I already know secretly that I wrote 90% or my team rewrote 90% of the text of the proposal and the author is lousy as a writer, I am going to shunt that writer, no matter what the advance is, to an editorial house such as yours, where they're going to actually do more to develop the content because the writer sucks and they haven't been willing to hire a ghost. However, apples to apples, right? If it's between Penguin Random House and HarperCollins, then it's pure advance, right? That's a top tier, that's a top 5 publishing house. I am definitely going to go with whoever's paying more money because they're apples and apples. But a lot of authors, for their first book especially, are never going to get to the apples to apples level. So I am definitely going to try and sell them to the house that's going to pay 25,000 when I can't get 250,000. So if I know that already, I'm probably going to look at those, and I'm also going to think about the author's personality different and the house's personality. I don't, not so much the editor, but certain houses like you have a reputation in the industry that's in a niche of high quality, well developed business books. And so if I have someone for whom that would be beneficial, I would certainly want to pitch it to you and I'd want to sell it to you. All things being equal, I would be happy to sell it to you. However, if the author is flighty or they're a speaker who doesn't really have the depth of content, I'm not going to pitch it to you because A, you're not going to give me money, and B, the author can't handle any type of forced editorial development because they don't have content, they just have fluff. So there's the job of an agent is to figure out which personalities and which types of authors should match with which types of publishing programs. You all have an individual take. Even the different business book editors at Portfolio have different things that are interesting to them. Then they are one of the top business publishers in the United States. So you want to match that. And then in a perfect world, you want to match the author's personality with the editor's world, so that the editor's personality, so that everybody is happy and they create the best possible product. The most successful books that became instant New York Times or quick New York Times bestsellers in my career have been when I've been able to line up all those factors. But it doesn't always happen because things change, or authors don't have it, or the editor gets, goes on maternity leave right when that deal's about to be made. There's all kinds of things that go on that cause different things to happen in the author's trajectory and in the publishing house's trajectory. And I want to create this union so that everybody gets what they actually need. And I'm not going to tell the author, you're one of the worst writers I've ever seen, even if I think it, but I am going to put them with a house where they can develop it. Because if the author has the content in their head, then it should definitely be with an editor who can pull it out of them, as opposed to an author who doesn't have any content in their head, but can sell 50,000 copies a year. It's knowing the psychology of the players.
And so it seems like there's the give and take. Okay, yes, a big advance, nice, but better to have
Yeah.
lesser advance, but somebody who can really work.
Yes. Yes.
That's,
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
glad to hear this is the case.
It
Um,
is in my world. I mean, after a long time, I think when you're a young agent, you think it's all about getting the biggest advance. I come from journalism and then I went into selling screenplays, and it was all about how much money you get. But after, decades of doing this, it really is about making sure that the book has the best chance to enter the world at the top of its game. And that requires knowing which pieces are missing.
Great. I have one last quick question. Um,
We haven't done much fighting. We should do some more fighting.
I know.
Okay.
I,
We'll get to that after the thing. Next time I send you a project.
I purposely didn't even drink coffee this morning, so I don't know. But I will say one thing that grates with me about agents is there's some agents that play the numbers game, and you and I have spoken about this. These
Yeah.
are agents where, you know, any author will send in everything. They'll take them on. They'll take them on. Sure, I'll be your agent. And next thing but they play a numbers game where, they've got hundreds of clients. So they only have to sell maybe, 15 to 20% of those authors to get a decent payday. But then the other 80% of authors suffer. And, but that's just how it seems the game works. I don't know. That's the game that grates me. The other game that grates me is when agents come to me and they pitch something, and I know it's a big name author. Look, I know all they're doing is they're getting us excited to chum the waters to then go say, hey, so and so's interested. Shouldn't you be too? So what is it with these games?
Well, I'm going to plead the fifth on the second comment, but I would never tell any public. First of all, I would never lie to a publisher. And second of all, there might be bidders who have less money that I would use to chum the waters for publishers who have more money. That is the game. And in the end, you might end up selling it to a smaller publisher anyway. You don't know, no crystal ball. However, the reality of the first question is, as you know, agents make 15% of every deal, no matter what, in the United States. All agents get 15% of the book deal. I get 20% if I sell your foreign rights or audio rights or whatever myself. 30% of your speech, unless you're already making $15,000 a year, $15,000 a speech, and done more than 20 engagements in the last year. So then it's 25 like everybody else. But the point is that if you're looking at it from the business perspective of an agency, the value in helping the value in sending all of those books, book proposals, developed or undeveloped, to a lot of editors is that you're putting the responsibility for picking the quality on the editors, as opposed to cultivating, like I do with bookproposalworkshop.com or what I do with my clients, cultivating the very best that the author has. When you send out the spray and pay kind of thing, you end up losing the opportunity to help the author kind of reconceptualize his or her idea so that it's the best of what the author has, so that it is new, different, better, more NDBM. I feel like that if the editorial direction isn't obvious from a 20 or 30-minute conversation with the author and reading whatever material they're sending me, then I don't want to touch them. I would rather they go to one of the agents, because they're not going to sell the thing anyway, because it's not a craftsman book. It's not been developed. The author's just trying to sell something and they think a book's going to make them famous or get the media or whatever. That's not really how the business was set up to work originally. And I don't think it's the editor's job to do my job of sorting through what's good and what's bad. I just want to take the best material and put it out there in the world. I know there are agents who do it differently, and some of them have been successful. But at this time in history, with the advent of AI for authors and all the other conceptual research opportunities that are extant in AI, there has to be the ability to create the best of what the author is capable of doing and then put that out for sale. I can't tell you how many people came to my book proposal workshop and came up with an idea. And I don't even know these people from Adam. They come to my workshop and they're going to sell this book. And over the course of me getting to know them through those, 8 weeks, and my team editing their material and helping them reconceptualize and grow and deepen and all the other stuff that the team does, then they find out that their book idea is crummy or that it could be so much better. And that's what, then I can sell it. And then I do sell it. And it makes a successful book and it makes a big advance and it actually sells copies and gets media and gets them speaking engagements. Let's do something that's going to be successful, not just go. It's just a different way of running the business. I did it for 3 years. It was a disaster. And that was in the late 90s. And I won't do it again.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for answering these questions. So now we're going to shift to the questions and I'm going to read them out to you. There are a lot of questions here, so we may not be able to get through all of them. I'm going to pick and choose.
May I say this, Jeevan? If you guys have a question specifically for me and not for Jeevan, come to LinkedIn and read something or write something or connect with me there. That's probably the best way to get my personal attention. And I'm happy to help you to the best of my ability. Okay.
Thank you. Farzana asks, how is the book industry? Now, this is one of those topics you could speak for an hour, but I'm going to relegate you to 2 minutes. How is the book industry overall? Is it overall down due to AI, world events, etc.?
Well, the answer to that is in your replays. BK did a great program that I heard on AI. So just listen to that and you will have every question answered. AI is incredible for those of you who aren't marketers by nature. My AI workshop is life-changing, as I've been told by the participants who've taken it. But AI can be all the marketing things that you need before you sell your book if you don't have much money or time. That's what you need to be focused on, is building your damn platform before you're worried about what's happening to the publishing industry and whether or not Simon & Schuster is going to pay $200,000 for your book. You work on you first, and the rest of it will follow, I promise. But listen to the BK thing from last month, I guess it was, right?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Second one is, and this is going to be a little difficult to answer because I think it comes down to genre, but Amy Young asks, what is considered a good number for books previously sold when evaluating an author?
It depends on the book, depends on the author, depends on the country. You know, if somebody sold, I had a guy last month tell me he'd sold 150,000 copies of his book in Qatar. Most publishers in the US aren't really thinking about Qatar. So even if that's true and I have no way to check it, okay,
Hmm.
so it kind of depends. There's so many factors. That's a situation of that specific author and their specific books. But I will tell you, if I look at your Amazon numbers and you suck, and your numbers when I look at your sales numbers on Amazon, which is 40-50% of the market depending on who you talk to, and your numbers are at, your book's been out for less than a year and your sales ranking on the top line, this Amazon sales ranking, is at 4 million. It means that you're lazy bum and you didn't do anything right. And you really should just give up publishing, frankly, because you're not going to get there unless you start building a damn platform. You can save it, but you better get your act together. Sorry about that.
Fair enough. Um, so we have some
I hated
questions.
that people self-publish and they don't have a platform and somebody lies to them. That is my biggest pet peeve. I have a friend who paid, a little old lady, she paid $45,000 because they told her they'd get her on every TV show in America. They were lying to her. Now she sold 2 copies on Amazon, two, one to her husband and one to herself. Those people should be taken out and shot at dawn. Such
Uh,
dishonesty.
there are a couple that are more personal questions of people asking about their own book, which I'm going to reserve for last. So, um, Shraddha Biyani is asking, as a nonfiction author, do I need to have a complete manuscript before reaching out to an agent, or can I start pitching my book with a clear outline, chapter breakdown, and a few sample chapters?
No, you need a proposal. The proposal has 5 basic parts: the overview, your bio, the chapter summaries, the competitive analysis, and the marketing plan. You must have those. And then I don't really care about your sample chapters. I'll look at one or two. I'm not going to read that before I make a decision to represent you because I can fix that. Anybody can. But if you have nothing in your marketing plan except have Oprah send the limo, you're not going to get an agent and you're not going to get a deal. You must have a book proposal if you're writing nonfiction. That's why I teach that class. It's why we all say, send us your proposal. And if you query agents and you don't have a proposal done and you're going to write one really quickly based on some book that was successful in the 80s, you're not going to get an agent. You're screwing around. Do it properly. Conceptualize your idea. Check Amazon to see if there are competitive books that you're doing better than, and that your content will be better than, and then build your freaking platform to find out if anyone's interested in what you think you have to say. I know the Great Pumpkin or the Archangel or whatever inspired many of you, and that's lovely, but I don't believe it, and publishers don't care. So you have to do it properly. Building a proposal is way more important than writing the book. I don't care if you think, well, I'm a writer. That doesn't matter to us. We're in business. We're trying to help you sell this damn thing. Start with the proposal, which is the process for selling a book. And then you have a team. Imagine having this man right here and his colleagues helping you develop your book. Is that not the best ever? You must have a proposal. Your proposal determines whether you get an agent, which really does determine whether or not you're going to get a publisher who writes a check. And I
Agreed.
get very passionate because I see so many people being hurt, and then they give up because they sent their stupid book idea to for a kid's book to an agent who only does nonfiction. And it's like, you're an idiot. Now you're going to think nobody loves you and you're going to go eat worms because all the agents rejected you. Well, we're not rejecting you. We don't handle what you're sending. Please be logical. It's not a game. It's not art.
Well,
Okay, I'm done. Off my soapbox. Thank you for listening.
this is one I can answer too, but maybe we can
Please.
answer this. Wendy Rubin's asking, can you expand on hiring a ghostwriter? What are the credentials to look for, and what is cost structure? Flat fee versus word count, etc. Do you want to go first? Shall I go first?
Nope.
Okay, so with ghostwriters, as far as credentials go, who you hire depends on what their credentials are. You have some ghostwriters, they've written New York Times bestsellers and everything. You're looking at upwards of $40,000 to $50,000 to hire them. To
Just for the proposal, friends. I have two ghostwriters who are 50,000 just for the proposal.
Yeah, so it's very pricey now. Ghostwriters come in all ranges. There's fresh out of college graduates who call themselves ghostwriters. Do they really know the industry? No.
High school English teachers on summer break.
Right, right. So it can be very expensive.
And
Um,
stupid.
but as for credentials, I think you should look and ask them what did they do previously. Now, a lot of ghostwriters have to sign NDA clauses where they, can't tell people publicly, what books they wrote. But off the record, privately, they can tell you, okay, I'm the person who wrote this, or I'm the person who wrote that. And so you can use that to find out what it is, what their credentials are. I think the most important thing, Wendy sort of touched on this before, get somebody who knows your subject. It's if you're writing about, overcoming trauma, don't get some award-winning ghostwriter who talked about business lessons. Like each different genre has its own peculiarities and strengths. So find somebody who has done what you've done. Um, and you're going to pay. It's going to cost money. There's something that Wendy mentioned prior, which is always good. Wendy's contracts are always give the option of, okay, this is not working, we can stop now. To reevaluate, have that kind of agreement with the ghostwriter where, you can just say, okay, we have a system of check-ins, every chapter, etc. And, at this juncture, if we find it's just not working, we have the right to dissolve the relationship. I mean, I pay you what I pay you for the work you've done so far, but that's it. And then go find somebody else better, because otherwise you're stuck with that writer for the whole book and they're going to wreck it. So that's all I got. Wendy, what about you?
Oh, thank you. I'd like to append my experiences, which is collectively that writing a proposal, whether you figure out how to do it on your own or you come to my workshop, or I don't know, there might be other agents who run proposal writing workshops where you have editorial support. I don't know, actually. I probably should check that. But the truth is that I would much rather you come to me with your best work and without a ghostwriter, because I have ghostwriters who I know who are going to give me books that I know I can sell. And if you do come with a ghostwriter, I actually sold a book yesterday from a guy who came with one of the best ghostwriters I've ever seen. The guy is pretty famous in his world, but he's got a lot of money. He's very, very well known in his little niche. But his ghostwriter is brilliant. So now that I love this ghostwriter, I'm going to send him things in the future for clients who can afford it, but who can afford him. But the challenge is that most authors, in my experience, don't really know what they should be writing. They know what they maybe want to write or what the great pumpkin told them to write, but they don't really know what should be written. in order to match what's going on 18 months from now in the publishing industry. So if you write a decent basic proposal according to the proposal guidelines, then you will have the chance to get an agent, assuming you're building, maybe not have a huge platform, but you're building a platform. You get that proposal. Now you get an agent. The agent is going to be much happier about connecting you with a ghostwriter if they can see that you got the ball rolling already. You're not the donkey that has to come out of the barn with the cart, right? If you're starting to be a rising star, you're going to have a much better chance. And I would much rather introduce you to a ghostwriter who's proven to sell for a lot of money to major publishers than have you pick the high school English teacher or the ghostwriter who will say, I can't really tell you, or worse, all my clients have gone on to self-publish. I get every probably 2 or 3 times a week, I get emails on LinkedIn from people saying, I'm a ghostwriter. I'm like, great. What publishers have you sold to? Because I'm going to call those editors because I can find that out easily and say, what was it like to work with that person as a ghostwriter? And 80%, 90% of them, poof, disappear because every author they've worked with has self-published. If you want to self-publish, hire the English teacher. Good luck to you. Bye. Don't come to me later.
So, quick question that I can answer. Peggy Kendall asked, if I'm understanding this correctly, an agent can help with PR development after publication, such as speaking in media. How does that differ from hiring a PR firm? I just want to point out Wendy's is a special shop that does that. Most agents don't do that.
And we don't do that. We will help you if you're already a speaker, or we'll help you become a speaker if
Mm.
that's something you have talent for and a desire to do. But my contract, and I don't say this to authors usually up front, but after I sell your book, I will offer you 1 hour, 1 hour of my time, which is $500 an hour if you hire me as an off the shelf consultant. I'll give you $500 worth of time to tell you what you should be doing to prepare for and market your book. And if you start to take action and you start to do the things I told you, then I will give you more help. But if you don't, bye bye. You're probably not ever even going to get through to me again. I will leave you with my assistant who will figure out very quickly that Wendy's not available because I only need people who are going to actually follow through and sell their book. And I sound harsh and mean and all this other stuff. This is a business. BK is running a business. You can be lovely and well meaning. I don't care.
Exactly. One question from Julie Michelle Morris. When you partner with an agent, do you align on a fee structure at the front end? Anything to watch out for?
All agents get 15% in the United States. Every agent who's real is selling books is getting 15% in the United States. Most of us get 20% for ancillary sales. I sell your film options, I sell your book in Israel, whatever. I get 20%. I've already said this. That's the answer to that question. Every agent, I'm not a member of the Association of Authors, Agents, whatever in New York because I don't live in New York. But that's the deal. We all get 15%. If you find an agent who wants more, something's fishy. And you can find out what books we've sold. Open up any number of books, pretty much every single book on my sold list. Every reputable agent will have a sold list on their website. If your book is similar to those, turn to your bookshelf, open them up, and look at the acknowledgments page. I'm mentioned in 99% of the acknowledgments pages. Oh, I couldn't have done this without my agent. Okay, thanks. But that's how I get business. I don't actually, other than doing the occasional thing like this for a friend, I don't market myself anymore. I haven't marketed myself in 15 years.
Okay. If it's okay with everyone, because there's so many questions, we're going to go with just 5 minutes.
There
So
are?
stay with you. Oh, yes.
Okay.
And I'm picking and choosing, and thankfully Jeremy is also stepping in and answering some questions.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Um, Jeff Jacobs is asking, thanks for being here today, Wendy. Assuming we don't have a platform to attract a publisher, but we still want to put our book out into the world, what is the most economical way to accomplish that?
Start building a platform. That's the answer. Because here's the deal. Okay. I don't know why this isn't logical. If you put your book out on Amazon, and let's just say generally there are 50 million books on Amazon, how the hell is anyone going to find yours? They're not. They can't. They're not going to search. I'd like to look for books by Jeff Jacobs. They're going to go, I need a book on this. And because your book is not selling, don't tell them I told you, but Amazon will hide your book because Amazon's in business to make a profit. So if your book is out there, it's self-published and it's not selling well, and you're not doing anything to attract sales to it, then you're going to disappear. And Amazon, you know how you read people who bought this book also bought? That's a complete lie. It has nothing to do with anything. It just means people who searched on this topic bought these books, and those books are usually sometimes more successful than the one you're looking for. It's an algorithm. There's no evil person out there. This is just common sense. If you start a lemonade stand in your backyard facing your garage, how bottles of lemonade are you going to sell? Not many. Start to market. Come on, it's not hard. Come to my AI workshop for $300. You'll learn how to do it, and your life will change. And you'll write me a testimonial, and I'll put it on the website. Promise. Jesus, it's not hard.
There's two people that asked this question, so I'm going to, Kathleen Paris, and is it, I don't know, I don't want to butcher this name, whether it's Aja Banks or Aha Banks, so I'm not sure, but forgive me if I'm butchering it. Is there a resource listing the genres of books various agents are interested in?
Do you want to answer that, or should I?
Go ahead.
So there are, about in 2001, I was listed as I started getting all these true crime books. I've never sold a true crime book in my life. And I got an award, and I found out that I was one of the top 10 agents in America for true crime books. I've never sold a true crime book in my life. So eventually I started figuring out that I was getting hundreds of these eventually, and we tracked it down, and we found out that I had won this Nobel Award that I'd never even heard of. And I went to the website, and here's the corker. I said, hello, I've never even sold a true crime book. Why did you bother to give me an award for being one of the top 10 agents for true crime in America? And the guy was like, "Oh, we just figured you'd appreciate it." And I said, "Well, can you take me off?" And he goes, "Oh no. I'm still on the list for true crime books, and I've still never sold a true crime book. I don't want to sell true crime books. I want to watch them when I'm depressed. But that's all." Okay, so the moral of the story is there are 300 trillion listings out there. Your job is to go, it looks like those agents have sold and are selling books like mine. Please go to YouTube and invest 5 minutes of your life in Wendy Keller's Rule of 30, and you will understand how to find an agent. And that will be the answer. And it's free, and it will take 5 minutes. And then you don't have to ask this question ever again in your life. You'll get an agent, and you'll live happily ever after. And your book will be a New York Times bestseller, and you'll have your own limo. The end. I
There is
promise.
there is one source which is not 100% accurate, but Publishers Marketplace, you can do a search by
For 25 bucks a month.
yes, it'll cost you, but you cross-reference agents with subject. It's not 100% accurate because, like Wendy just said, sometimes they just get the information. They're like, oh, they handled this and this and this. But it's a start. It's a start.
We don't usually remember to update Publishers Marketplace because, in a lot of cases, other than US publishers, I don't really want to reveal to the other agents who are on Publishers Marketplace who I'm using to sell my foreign rights. So I hardly ever post anything on Publishers Marketplace about the foreign rights deals because I don't really want other business agents elbowing into my space. So there's a little politics going on in Publishers Marketplace. But we do update our literary marketplace pretty often. What do you think about that, literary marketplace?
I
I
think
think
it's,
libraries still have it.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's
But there's so many online resources. Just,
right.
please don't send me your true crime manuscript.
So I think that's about it for time. I'm sorry for all the questions we couldn't get to, but you can reach Wendy on LinkedIn.
Yep.
She's very responsive, and of course, you can all reach me. My email, I'm going to put it in text right now, is um,
While you're doing that, Jeevan, I want to say thank you to you and to Jeremy and Julia for helping facilitate this, and to all of you who took your time to show up. We really want the best for each of you, which is why we're doing this and spending our life helping and trying to give you the facts so that you can win this game and not just sit around and worry that nobody loves your beautiful book.
right. So I'm going to close with just two quick things. One is perhaps a fantastic little compliment for you, Wendy. Julie Michelle Morris says, I need Wendy in my ears every day. So thank you for that. And second thing is thank you all of you for joining the BK Authors this program. We're going to be, like I said, we're going to strive to have, more of, not more. We trying to do one of these a month, every month and a half or so, and try to pick topics that can really help authors and perhaps even other editors and publishers. And I will always try to find somebody to come on with me, but sometimes it'll just be me sitting here complaining, and you'll like it. Okay? So thank you very much, all of you. Really appreciate you joining us. Hope you all got everything we wanted you to get out of this.
Thank you.